money is like a little prayer. Hey everyone, how's it going? As I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with a Omi is my homie chat with my co-host Crypto Rain. Dr. Stuff will unfortunately not be here today. He's otherwise indisposed, occupied, and just but he will be cheering us on from the sidelines. So before this, I was having a call with a buddy of mine, and he's looking at getting more Omi. Was talking to him about Definity. We'll get all that, but the first thing we talked about says, "Randy, how are you doing?" And I was laughing because I was on TikTok scrolling, and you've seen South Park, right? Mm-hmm. You know the character Jimmy?
It's been so long, 20 years.
He's
I only watched 3 episodes, but one of the funniest shows ever written.
He's got I forget what he has, but he's got he has like crutches, you know, to use like for his hands, like help him walk, and he has this a little bit of a speech impediment where if you want to say like, oh, this water is cold, he would say like, this water's cold, and then he would go on. And so the clip I saw on TikTok was of him like trying to sing like 12 Days of Christmas, My True Love Gave to Me. It's just 20 minutes ago. So I answered him laughing. And then I don't know if you have TikTok, but now the new trend is people like taking like different versions of like this puppet, going like really shocked. And it's all of these like 30-year-old women telling like these 20-year-old stories about the unhinged things that happened to them when they were like 10 or 15. And I love the internet so much. It's so unserious. How have you been? What are you up to?
I've been waiting for this time in crypto. So it's kind of like when you've been practicing swinging, right? And you step up to the plate and you hit the ball. You hear that crack of the ball just right. And you know it's going out of the park. And that's why I feel like the bear market has led to. I feel like, I deployed all my capital during the past year and a half. And man, some of these things are really starting to run. And I'm like, baby. It's not a question of is it going out of the park. It's a question of how far.
Ooh, that's good. I saw some of your show this morning with Paul, and I saw Omi was but I guess so I guess before we get into that, because Omi's obviously going to be the main part of our show, did you guys go over DeVe on that?
Yeah, we did.
That's been pretty nice. When he went and talked about that, I mean, to do like a 5x like it's done in like 3 months, I feel like is really is very impressive. And now it's almost on like a 6. It's up to 77 cents now. Jeez.
Yeah, it went all the way down to 12 cents. And at 12 cents, like, some people were so scared. And I was like, this is a buy of a lifetime. It's amazing. Like, load the boats. And some were like, okay, I'll look at it. I was like, look, I can't tell you what to do. My boat is well loaded, like hugely loaded, like overflowing with DeVe, and it's massively undervalued at this price.
Agreed. So now that this is done, at 5x from the bottom, or 6x now from the bottom, and Omi's done it did like a 2x, did like grew 100%, had a little pullback. It does seem like it's moving at this point.
Nothing yet. Like, it's still in the, oh my gosh, I'm going to sell my Omi to roll it into XRP, which just went 5x. If they hold on to that XRP for like 10 years, okay, fine plan, right? Like XRP in 10 years is probably going to be the financial rails of everything. And a lot of that will happen over the coming years. So not a bad retirement plan. But like they're going to miss out, because what is XRP going to do here in this bull run versus Omi? I think Omi goes way farther during the next 6 to 12 months. So they're just if they're doing a short-term trade, I think it's going to work out poorly for them. But who knows? I don't have a magic crystal ball. I can't see the future. On a fundamental level, Omi is massively undervalued, in my opinion. And I think at this price, it's hugely a buy zone, not a sell. Sell if you're crazy zone, is my opinion. It's like, oh, I'm going to roll that into where the action is. In other words, you're going to sell low to buy high somewhere else, because by where the action is, they mean things that have already been pumping for a while. And they're making this fundamental assumption that what has been happening is going to continue to happen. And OMI for the last long time has been going down. So they assume it's just going to keep going down. It did a slow pump, but it's going to go down more. And their fundamental assumption is flawed. And what just went 5x may keep going, or it may retrace a bunch of those gains. So they might be buying in a price that then they get retraced on and end up upside down. Right as OMI might be ready to run further. And I don't know when OMI's going to take off. Oh, but VeVe is going to crush it in the coming year. And as they crush it, I don't see how OMI doesn't go ballistic.
Yeah, agreed. There's multiple reasons for that. So I saw Paul rated it a buy, and Paul is so freaking smart. I'm not saying that the word is gospel, but if we made a shirt that says "Do what Paul does," I feel like that would do really well.
He would get so uncomfortable with that. He would be like, no, I'm not telling anybody what to do. Like, no. He's so modest. I love it.
It's
What's
great.
up, Sanjay? I love Sanjay. It's
Me
so
too.
good that VeVe can attract legends like Sanjay.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I'm so bullish on VeVe's future is can attract amazing people like Sanjay to their community, who puts in all kinds of time and effort to do all these things for VeVe. And he doesn't get paid to do. He does it because he's passionate about where it's going.
Yeah. His the way he's made himself valuable. I mean, he's a valuable person. He's about in
So
general.
valuable. Imagine if they had to pay him for all the things he does. That'd be
It'd still be worth it.
Really, really large salary.
Yeah. But he would definitely justify that salary. But again, it'd still be worth it. But the way he's
it would be worth it, right? He's amazing.
Yeah.
Right now they're getting it for free. Why? Because he's passionate about where it's going. And how amazing is that they can attract people like Sanjay, and he's not the only one, like Dr. Profit, like these guys are business home run hitters, right? So to be able to have them come help your company and be part of your community is amazing.
And the community by itself is one thing, and it's a major thing. But at the end of the day, similar to like the military, okay, we have like 350 people that are in the gold, silver, logo cup. That's great. We have another couple hundred in the economy, and you see all these things. Their numbers where let's say half of them are in the U.S. We have 8%, but you don't really get into the numbers. You don't look into them unless you know them. And the way that Sanjay set up these parties, where we go in, and the consequences of that have already been astronomical, and nobody sees that unless you're kind of in there. And the amount of money and deals and stuff that could be made is literally worth like right now in the 8 figures. But at some point, because of those parties, because of the connections that were made in Sanjay's groups and networks, will be in like hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions. So Sanjay, really shout out to him for that. For the OMI price, you were talking about VeVe being crushing it. Ben was on a interview with 101 Pop Media, I think earlier today, and he said that his goal, and this is what his goals publicly are, that he wants to 4x the amount of users. We have about 12 to 15,000 monthly active users. The active wallets on any given day are around 1,000, maybe like 1,200. They can be in the multiple thousands if we have like a really big drop, but generally it's about 1,000, give or take. What do you think happens to the token if you can do what Ben sets out to do, which I think is really conservative at 4xing the users? What happens to the token?
So crypto runs every 4 years. It goes massively crazy, and everybody in the world kind of hyper focuses on it. So in that environment, like if VeVe only does a 4x, that would suck. But I think he set a low bar. I think they're going to so vastly overperform that, even based on if they just keep doing exactly what they're doing and no really new things come out. The momentum that hits during the bull market is people go crazy. Like Dogboy has a comment here. An extremely wealthy business owner Rita worked for called today asking about NFTs. He's in the know, something's happening. Yes, and they start to look at, okay, I'm interested in these collectibles, these NFTs. oh, you've got major brands like Disney. I think the future is digital and I want to get involved. And then money just comes in and people come in. Because one of the things that drives massive numbers of people come in is when your collectibles start going up a lot in value. And then people tell their friends, hey, I have this Batman thing and it just went up 5 times from what I bought it at. What the heck is going on? And then they start coming in. And so that's not even VeVe doing marketing that's bringing that in. It's just focus on crypto that brings that in. So I think they're taking some right steps. I really am super happy with the hire of Ben. This guy is making the right decisions. I love it. Had a meeting talking about their affiliate marketing and some of the things they're looking at, like, and the person behind that is like super smart, very experienced in this stuff. And I was like, yes, he's asking all the right questions. He's looking at all the right things, like, and they're getting the right people in place to really go to the next level. So one of the challenges when you start a new business is that you have your strengths and you hope to get big enough that you have the revenues to build out your team with top level people. Well, they're at that place. They're building out their team with experienced people, including Ben and some of their other hires, really good people. I mean, they hired Mike Collectibles. They hired Foster Hill, like really smart people, and as well as Ben and then other team members. And I feel like they have the right people coming in that VeVe is going to absolutely crush it. And as VeVe crushed it, people will FOMO into the OMI token. I know for long. And what's so funny is in 2021, OMI was going crazy. And I was like, wait, buy VeVe Collectibles, this Batman thing, this Todd McFarlane for 80 gems. Stop focusing on OMI. Go here. People are like, no, but the token has gone up so much. It's just going to go up for forever. And it's like, it doesn't work out that way. Look at the collectibles. They haven't gone up yet. No, but they're boring. They haven't gone up yet. You're assuming what has been happening is going to continue to happen. And it doesn't play out that way. So the collectibles from there went massively up. OMI swung so far to the upside that's had a long ways to come down. So people are continuing to assume, because OMI's been mostly going down for 3 years, that it's just going to keep going down. And they are so wrong. The VeVe collectibles, I think, are undervalued. The comic books, even more undervalued. OMI, far more undervalued than them. The pendulum has swung too far to the downside. So I'm a big fan in VeVe's collectibles, bigger fan in VeVe comic collectibles, and a much bigger fan in where OMI is, where the price is. At some point, OMI catches major traction and people are FOMOing in like crazy. It's amazing how green candles create bigger FOMO. Instead of buying cheap, like Bitcoin, the number of people waiting to buy Bitcoin when it hit 14,000, which was the bottom, was like there was no line. Anybody could buy it, and yet most people wouldn't. And if you talk to them about Bitcoin, they're like, I don't want to hear it, because they're making the assumption what has been going down is continue to go down. Even when it popped up to 20,000, it's like, I don't want to hear it. Now it's at 100,000. They're like, how do I get Bitcoin? It's like, okay, you're doing this wrong. You're buying what's high, hoping it'll just go higher. Now, Bitcoin, they could still make some money here, but it might only go up 80% from here. It might go from 100,000 to 180,000, and maybe that's the top. Now, if we have a super cycle, maybe it goes much, much higher than that. But they're buying high, hoping it goes higher, and that's not the way you make a ton of money in crypto. The way you make a ton of money is you buy when everyone else is like, no, nothing's happening. It's going down for forever. And you research the company behind it, make sure they're stable enough that they're going to survive. And then you load the boats. And that's just my secret. I found, part of my portfolio last bear market, I threw into like meme coins and some other things. The part that really, really went up were solid businesses that had been around between 1 to 5 years, gotten punished. Their token massively punished by the bear market. That outperformed everything in my portfolio. So this time I'm focused 100% on that. And OMI is definitely one of those projects. And so we'll see how it does. But I am very confident that OMI's got a bright future from here.
Same. And I also, again, what you said, Ben set the bar very low, going in and saying that, hey, 4xing the amount of users. What happens if, again, I think he could do that and he doesn't really need to lift a finger. Now, obviously, we know he's working in the background. You mentioned Jason, the new affiliate program guy, seems to be doing pretty awesome from what we can tell. What happens if you have that, maybe not like this golden goose scenario, but a scenario where you have people come in conjunction with them doing guerrilla marketing, affiliate marketing, all these different, they hired like 6 different people for marketing, and Ben overshoots his goals, and we add a zero, and we don't have 12 to 15,000 monthly active wallets anymore. We have 120,000, 150,000, which I think is very reasonable. What happens to the token at that point?
It's hard to say, but in the crypto cycle, like, so if they don't 20x, they're like, this is an opportunity window for them to 20x their user base. Then after this year, the question is, can they keep adding users, right? And add more than they lose? Because as everyone focuses on crypto, prices tend to pump, and that brings in massive amounts. And then the pendulum swings too far. So this is going to be the year to really nail it on affiliate marketing and other things, to focus massive efforts on getting affiliates and other things and really growing their user base. Then the hard thing is to keep those people during the bear market. And if they can just keep them, great. Like if they can add during the bear market, that would be amazing. But if they can just retain a good percentage of people during the bear market, which is like 2.5, 3 years, that would be amazing. But this year, I would better guess that if they're doing some of the right things, they can 20x their daily active user base.
Okay, so you're not even talking about a 10x, a 20x, double from there. Okay, and by doing that, obviously you have the main stuff. You have the Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and all that. Do people get so upset, like in the, I don't say the real world, in Web 2? I was talking about this with Mr. Rolex the other day. People are obsessed with like Jeff the Land Shark, which his comics actually been doing well the last couple of days, but he's not like a major character in certain stories. Sure, he like can take out like writers, what's that called, like not a writer's block, but he has basically immunity from the writers, and he can take on all these characters if they write it that way. But every now and then I feel like some characters that you don't really know why they go crazy, I feel like the same thing can happen on VeVe, where you might have it with like Mermacorno, or you might have it with Princess Bubblegum from Adventure Time. I'm very curious to see what happens with that. One of the other things that I don't think I even talked to, I think it was just me talking to myself last night on camera. If you have Dragon Ball Z or any anime come, like as the anime peeps get here, how well do you know those anime peeps? How often have you interacted with them?
No, anime really hit when I was older. It's not like it wasn't around, but it didn't become such a big thing until I was off in the military, and then in school. Like, during my time at university, I gave up video games, anything relative, for the most part, and highly focused on that. And then career, and I was working 100 hours a week, and so I missed a lot of the cool anime stuff like Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. Just wasn't part of my childhood, so I'm not super well dialed into that, other than from the collector side, right? And a lot of the collectors that did go through that, they're now at their prime in their career. They're making amazing money, which is part of that's interesting on collectibles doing well. So you have to have a demographic that has money, and it ain't 12-year-old kids. Now, 12-year-old kids have access to their parents' money, but they don't have their own money. So it's not like collectibles that 12-year-olds are interested in can't go for some money, but they can't go for hundreds of thousands of dollars unless we're talking about the kids of Saudi princes.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, but when the age category of who grew up with Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and other like anime ones, well, now they're in their prime. They're 30, 35, 40. Some of them are doctors, lawyers. Some make $2 or $3 million a year. Some are influencers that make $15 million a year. And they get super excited about things like that. And then they tell their whole fan base about it. And then their fan base spends crazy money. That's part of what I think will happen, right? If VeVe just does a good job continuing to get top IP and cool stuff, even without an affiliate program, they would get some traction with some of the major influencers, just because price bumps do that. When prices are going crazy, guess what? The influencers want to talk about what everyone's searching about. So they'll come in and they'll probably see VeVe and they'll talk about it and they'll probably buy some VeVe things. Now, if they nail it with the affiliate program, then they'll really talk about it. And if you got big channels with millions and millions of viewers talking about VeVe to their audience once a week and showing off their own collectibles, then VeVe goes crazy in that environment. And that might come together. You know, some people are like, oh, that hasn't happened yet, so it won't happen. It's like, you know, Bitcoin hadn't crossed 100,000 until it did. Like, you're making the assumption that has been happening is like, because it hasn't happened before, it won't continue to happen. Well, Pokemon was never covered by YouTubers who had millions and millions of viewers until all of a sudden it was. And Pokemon collectible cards went absolutely crazy. Whenever the whole world is focusing on crypto, which starting a little bit now, but continues into next year, why wouldn't Logan Paul be talking about his Dragon Ball Z collectible or his this and that? I bet you they will.
I think the key with some of these IPs is that unlike, like, you know, baseball cards went up in the 80s, and then you have people that even in Comic-Con conventions, even still today, to this day, you had people that back in the day, they like Lost in Space, or they like, you know, Star Trek, and they like certain things that in the 90s, when you had these Comic-Con conventions and people like Star Wars, there hadn't been a new Star Wars piece of media in over a decade. And up until like that's the part of the reason why they never really took off. And then in like the mid to late 2000s, they started to again, because you had these IPs that continuously pumped out new media. Pokemon never stopped. Dragon Ball Z never stopped. One Piece never stopped. So all these things that are happening, like they're ongoing for decades. Where back in the day, you just didn't have that. So now it's easier for people that like Pokemon. Oh, you're just old. You know, Pokemon was big 30 years ago. Yes, it was, but it's still big now. I mean, it's the biggest thing in the world. Same thing with all this. So that's another reason why I think a lot of these things pump. What's up, Crypto Cosmo? I love it, dude. The other day I made like a post, or I go about it in my news, like, shout out to Crypto Cosmo getting he says his 4th partner statue for like $1,500, whatever it was. And then I see yesterday he gets his 6th one. It's like, what happened to number 5? Did you just buy two? So he gets another one. I was like, oh my God, like he's gonna have one for every day of the week, just like the underwear. By now he might have 7, and I just missed it. I don't know.
Yeah, I wish they had an affiliate thing back when I started covering VeVe in 2021, because I totally got Dr. of Stuff, Crypto Cosmo, and a bunch of other people into VeVe. So, you know, I will accept Omi for those amazing early referrals.
So that's the other thing. You have, we have if the Venn diagram of like Rain's audience and then my audience, you know, there is that overlap. And I was talking about this with the new affiliate. I was like, if you have someone that's a little more highbrow, a little more upscale, they like wear a suit, it might be better to have Rain interview them than me. But if you have somebody that maybe isn't like that, but they have a lot of followers, but they want to talk about like mermaids and UFOs and TikTok, I was like, I'll totally interview that person. I'll totally have, because you know that's their vibe. But I like that there's so many of us influenced here. There's kind of like one person for everybody. There's kind of one person that can, yeah.
Yeah, the VeVe community is very broad, right? So there's different people like at all levels of different in life and at every different aspect. Like it, you know, a lot of people, whether they're doctors, lawyers, business owners, firemen, or whatever, there's a bunch that have this inner collector part of them, and in all walks of life. And so there's also some, you know, people that cover VeVe that have all kinds of different backgrounds. So there is like people that reach different audiences within the crypto space and have the different VeVe channels. So yeah, with that said, do you think Tap's going to start doing videos again? Because it was so good to see him, and I love Tap's videos.
I personally, I love that man so much. Roomies for life. I always want to hug him and squeeze him. But he's I won't go over specific numbers, but he said by the next bull market, and this is because he buys a lot in like the top 100, even like the top 10, and they not guaranteed, but they're as close to guaranteed gains as you can get. But the gains aren't that crazy. They don't not like. I mean, he still has his OMI. He's never sold that, and I think at this point he has some Definity. I have to follow up with him. But he said by next bull market he hopes to have enough where he can retire, him, his wife. He doesn't need to do anything ever again. And I was like, okay, so by the next bull market, so are you going to start like your journey this bull market? And he says like, I'm actually going to restart my journey in the next bear market. I was like, Tabs, no. And he said, because that's when you need competent people the most, because you could have anyone in there, throw a dart at a crypto or an NFT and it'll do really well in a bull market.
Yeah, but that line of like geniuses, even XYZ channel that has no background whatsoever, he's just starting in crypto and he's like, buy XRP, buy this. He'll seem like a genius because XRP might 5 or if you're really lucky 100x. Like over the long term, I think XRP goes 100x from here, but the long term might be the next 10 years. But like, who knows what it does this bull run? I don't know. It's already experienced 5x, right? At 50 cents, it was an amazing deal. So they'll seem like a genius because say it went 15x from there. Oh, what a genius. They aren't a genius. It's just the timing in the market was good that like almost everything hit. You'll even see poo fly during this bull run that like stuff that is dead will somehow gain traction, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, that's craziness. Because the rising tide comes in and all the boats go up, even the halfway sunk ones. And so, everyone, they'll seem like a genius, but he's right. During the bear market is when the real work is, because then you're trying to educate people is most of the people are checking out of crypto and you're trying to help them see the bigger vision of the way you make money in any investment class is buy low and sell high. But everyone comes in and tries to buy high and then sell higher. And often they get reversed on far before they take their gains and they end up losing money, which is why 89% of people make negative gains or they make almost no gains whatsoever. Like 89%, that statistic should scare you. Another 5 or 6%, they do mediocre, like they make some money, they might make 3x gains and they're super happy because they outperformed what stocks could do. But only 5% of people really do it right, and 5% make amazing gains. But those are the 5% that stick around during the bear market and they buy low and they dollar cost average in at lows. And they just tune out all the people telling them how stupid they are. And then when things are going crazy, they'll be selling again. Once again, everyone will be telling them how stupid they are. You're so stupid. Why are you selling? It's going up 30% a day. Well, because bull runs don't last for forever. And so they have to be tenacious enough to always be at the point where people are calling them stupid. The majority of people are calling them stupid. And that you're buying low and everyone's telling you're stupid for doing that. And then you're selling high and everyone's telling you you're stupid for doing that. And most people can't take that kind of pressure. They need so much social acceptance. They need all the people around them telling them they're doing the right thing. And those people should just stay away from investing. It's going to go poorly for them. Because if you're doing what everyone else is doing, what the majority of people in the overall world are telling you to do, it's going to go poorly for you.
Yeah, it's hard for multiple reasons because it's hard to, in a bear market, you buy and then, you buy the dip and it keeps dipping. And it is hard to see red in your portfolio. But then on the other end, the point that you brought up, the biology, like we've evolved as social creatures, and part of being a social creature is being accepted. That's why, being popular when you're younger in school, that's why it seems to matter. And when you're doing things that is going to get you ostracized and maybe get you kicked out of certain groups and get made fun of, like, so it's that double whammy. You're fighting your own demons and you're fighting like biology as well. But speaking of stupid, we were called pretty stupid because a bunch of people who don't like show their faces says like, oh, the NFTs are dead and it's never coming back. They have $187 million that were spent the first week of December on NFTs. Is it dead? Is that a dead cat bounce, or are they coming back? Or what are the odds that NFTs are not dead?
They'll come back. So one of the guys that I watch his videos, and he make a few videos, a smart investor out of like India, I think he had some kind of accent. he was investing during the bear market, and he's the one that was talking about Axie Infinity. That's how I first heard about it. And he was buying Axie Infinity when it was dirt cheap when they did the initial land sale, and I found out about it from him. Cool guy. But he was buying CryptoPunks back then. He was buying them for about 1 ETH, and ETH was going for $80 to $100. And he was like stacking CryptoPunks, and people told him he was crazy. NFTs, CryptoPunks, they're dead. You know, and then they went to like $300,000 a piece. And I think he bought a ton of them. That guy, I don't know that he's even making videos. I think he made in the tens of millions of dollars. And if he's from India, you can retire on that in India. You can't fully retire on that in the US. But in India, yes. Canada, US, not so much. You need like 40 million to retire really well. But in India, 10 million goes a really long way. And so, yeah, I think like he's like made some, like everyone told him he was crazy. He was buying Axie Infinity. He was buying more when it was going down. He made a lot of really smart decisions during that time, and people told him he was crazy. Now he's retired. He has FU money, and those other people that were telling him how crazy he was, they're the same place they were 5 years ago. Nowhere.
Got fired. Pew, 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 pew. So it seems that other people are trying to get in on the token before, and it's not just humans, like exchanges as well. You have TRIV, you have Aerodrome, and then you have KCEX that had Renegade listed only. Now KCEX is futures trading, and so it's not showing up on CoinGecko. It's really just for perpetual futures. But they are number 37 on the list of exchanges per volume. Aerodrome is actually number 100, just reached the top 100 for their token on base. I feel like anything on base is just going nuts, whether it's meme coins, whether it's actual NFTs. What do you make of this? Do you make of this that like, okay, only just these shitty exchanges and these non-top tier exchanges, and it's nothing to get excited about? Or do you think like, no, this is what happens first, and then the other better stuff starts happening later?
Yeah, so, and maybe this is just my bias because I've been focusing on what does well as far as returns since I was a kid. For whatever reason, things that went up way like a ton in value have always had my attention. I was looking at real estate, I was looking at baseball cards, other things that went up in value since I was a little kid, and it always fascinated me because I love this idea of having my money work for me. And so it's like, to me, it's as obvious as can be. Like all the right things are there, that this rocket ship is preparing to take off because I'm seeing all the right things come together, that OMI and VeVe collectibles are going to go absolutely crazy. I mean, look at Sanjay's comments. VeVe should allow IPs to have business accounts on VeVe, do KYB, and had multiple collectibles in comments. He says some amazing new whales in VeVe are actually CEOs of new IPs like Dan, the CEO, Dan W., CEO of Figpin, Carl Choi, founder of 24/7 Comics, and so many more. He's not wrong on that. See, VeVe has something that can attract really high net worth people. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about VeVe is I've always seen that potential that like these are cool enough that people with massive money will want the social flex of these. And it caught on a little bit in January of 2022, but just a little bit. Like that was just a smidgen of what I think happens this time around. And I think things are setting up that you'll have major YouTube channels talking about VeVe, especially if they hit the affiliate program well. But even if they don't, they'll get some coverage on major YouTube channels, and digital collectibles will be one of the big narratives this coming bull run. Because such high, I mean, the fact that you can attract people like Sanjay, you can attract Dr. Profit, who at first was building Stacker just to give us metrics on VeVe collectibles that we're selling, that you can attract these type of really high net worth people that are passionate enough about your collectibles that they're throwing in a whole bunch of money themselves. But you look at that, you look at what type of collectibles can attract people that are so passionate about it, they throw in that kind of money, and then they throw in so much of their own time for free to do amazing things for the community. And they're not the only ones. And only a fraction of the world's population is even aware of VeVe. Imagine when 100 more people like Sanjay and Dr. Profit come in are doing things and buying things like crazy. And I think that's going to happen. Like, to me, it's like, well, I can see the rocket on the launch pad. I see the engines revving up. People say, when is it going to take off? It's like, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm seeing all the right things happening. How are you not seeing that? And maybe it's just my bias because I've been watching this stuff for so long. It's as obvious and convenient with me, and people want to argue with me about it. It's like, well, let's just let time be the judge. Cool. It's patently obvious. Just like, I give this example of this guy who, back when I did real estate and real estate investing, I help people make smart investments in real estate. And it was really, really fun for me. Well, I was taking this guy out because he said he wanted to buy a good investment, right? And I realized after a few hours with this guy, he just doesn't think right. He's not going to buy an actual good investment. So he's telling me how he had this opportunity to buy this land. There was 20 acres there. And right then they were building a Walmart on it. And they had sold a small chunk of it to Panda Express for $1 million. And he had a chance to buy that whole 20 acres for 20 or I think 30,000 or something with a small down payment, no interest, financed by the family friend who was the seller. And they didn't take it. And they're like, I was like, why didn't you take it? And he's like, well, because there was nothing there then. It's just a road going out there and there weren't even any houses close by. Well, they were starting a development kind of by there, but there wasn't very much close. And it's like, why do you think the price was so low? But that was always a major road, a major, major road. Couldn't you look down the road and see that at some point there's probably going to be either some developer is going to want to build a big community there, or maybe it has commercial potential. It was a major intersection. And I was like, look, I can't get you that kind of price these days. Money's just worth more these days. But I can get you maybe 10 acres for 30,000 or something. We can go north and along a major road, and it won't be an intersection piece. It might just have a little frontage on the major road, but in 20 years, probably be worth a great amount of money. And he's like, but there's nothing there.
Wasn't clicking.
So he's looking for a situation where Walmart is ready to buy it, and yet he's going to get it for 30,000. It doesn't work that way. You got to buy it when nothing is there yet, except for the plan. So it's like, is Logan Paul covering VeVe yet? No, he's not. Is he close to covering VeVe? I don't know. Maybe it's not even him that covers it. Graham Stephan, Meet Kevin, Andre Jick. Andre Jick buys VeVe stuff. So I imagine when things are going crazy, he's going to cover it, even in the existing environment. He already has a little bit. But when it's going crazy, he's going to cover it more because he's trying to gain a bigger audience. He will want the VeVe people to be tuning into his episodes. And so, you will have these different influencers that I think will be covering even without an affiliate program. An affiliate program will just massively put that on steroids. And I can see the right things adding up that in this environment during 2025, VeVe goes absolutely crazy. And so it's like, in real estate, you often had to wait 20 years to get massive gains. In crypto, we have this major bull run every 4 years. Now we're in that really juicy point that a lot of that hasn't happened yet. So people are like, how can you prove it's going to happen? It's like, look, this is investing. There's no proof it's going to happen. But there's never been a more clear pattern in any investment class in history that I'm aware of, where every 4 years it goes massively crazy and then massively pulls back. And we're in that year that it goes massively crazy. So maybe this time it doesn't happen. It has every cycle since 2013. That did 2017 and 2021. And here we are going into 2025. Why it wouldn't happen, I have no idea. But if you're looking for more evidence than that, you will not find it. So cool. Investing isn't for you. The people that want to argue with me about that can't look historically, look left on the charts and see that every 4 years crypto goes crazy and they want to argue with me, cool, just stay out of investing. It isn't for you. If you can't recognize that pattern, you're just not good at this. And maybe you're just new, and it's okay to be new. So just sit there and watch how it plays out. See if it plays out that 2025 goes crazy, and maybe you'll be lucky and we get another run in 2029. And hopefully you'll be smart enough to stick around, and in 2027 you'll be loading the boats, in 2028 be loading the boats, and maybe in 2029 we have one more run after that.
I'm ready. Are you? I like how Sanjay is pointing out that we have. So I guess one of the things I wanted to rebut there, Sanjay pointing out that we have some awesome people in here trying to get OMI, and then asking the question, what happens if, even half the IPs on VeVe take positions in the company, collectibles, and OMI. I think that'd be great. But you said that there might be the possibility of getting 100 more Sanjays or Dr. Profits. I don't know if that's possible.
It might not be possible, right? Like they're kind of like one of a kind people, but we will have more amazing people that will come in and want to participate and help. But you're right. Like, are they duplicatable? No. I mean, they're so amazing in their own rights that there aren't necessarily even. It's not that there aren't 100 more amazing people. There are, but they're very, very skilled in their area and very, very respected. So maybe that might be an overstatement, because duplicating now 100 times, logically, yeah, they're just so unique and good within their areas that we'll have lots of other really cool people come in.
Agreed. So let's get to some of the news. Well, I guess before we get to some of the news, one more question for you. Oh, Mahalo Joe. So Dragon Ball, like, if you want to say, Dragon Ball stopped, then Dragon Ball Z went over. Well, then you now have Dragon Ball, Daima that's up. So they're still making all of those stuff. They're still making new content in that Dragon Ball Z universe. Vladimir Columbus says, "Hey Rain, are you going to roll some of your Devi gains into OMI if it stays down? And what price points might you do something like that on?"
Yes. So yeah, it's really tempting. I just wish OMI had stayed down where it was, but that might be too much to hope for. The price was amazing. Like, I still think Devi can do incredible numbers from here. And I did ask, so I had a little bit of a sell hit that I had a tiny bit, and I was like, oh crap, that I put in forever ago. And back when it did a little bit of a run before, and I was like, oh, I got to cancel that order. And only filled 20% of it. But a lot Devi, like, if it gets back into like the $2 range and OMI stays around here, I'll probably diversify more out, like just a tiny bit. Am I going to sell all my Devi to roll into OMI? Yeah, if Devi went to $800 in the next month, yeah, I'd sell all my Devi, and I wouldn't roll all of that into OMI, but maybe like
wait, into how much? If Devi hit how much dollars?
$800, right? So
they're like 79 cents. I don't think they're going to hit that much.
So that's 1,000x from here. See, Devi has really good upside, even farther upside than OMI, in my opinion. Will it realize that? No, I don't know. So it's risk, right? So there's two enterprise blockchains that I'm really aware of. Devi can do 8 million transactions per second. Their competitor is Hedera Hashgraph, which can do 10,000 transactions per second. However, Hedera has, number one, they've been around for quite a while. Devi's actually been around for longer, believe it or not, but they don't have the connections Hedera has. Hedera has massive connections on their board. Governing board is like, you look at that, it's the who's who of the Fortune 100 companies out there. And so, like, it's going to be harder for Devi to peel them away, even though they've got in my opinion, and from what I understand about it, far superior product, can vastly outperform it. Because a lot of these companies, when they go to enterprise blockchain, they don't want a permissionless blockchain. They don't want a blockchain that anyone can write to. They want a permissioned blockchain. Hedera, Devi. They're not going to use Cardano. They're not going to use a lot of these things. They want a permission blockchain for enterprise blockchain stuff. So Devi's positioned really well. If they start peeling off a bunch of those companies, then everyone starts talking about Devi. And right now their market cap is really, really low for a layer one blockchain that can do 8 million transactions per second. It's only because most of the world is completely unaware of it, which at one point, Axie Infinity, most of the world was completely unaware of Axie Infinity until it wasn't. Will that happen with Devi? I don't know. It just has potential for it to happen. I didn't know that Axie Infinity would go 3,000x from what I bought at, and that wasn't even the bottom. I didn't know that. Had I known that, I would have made bigger gains. But Devi has potential to do another, 1,000x from here. Will it? I don't know. But if it did, yes, I would sell. At that point, I'd cash in 100% of what I have. Otherwise, I would just cash in tiers on the way up. And especially if something like OMI stays so undervalued, yes, I will cash in some Devi early to roll some of it over, because I feel like Omi is a sure bet. There's no such thing as a sure bet. It is not like a given it's going to happen. There's still risk. I just feel like the risks are low and the potential upside is high.
I will be a little bit different where you show me now it's already done like a 5x and it's still less than $100 million market cap. But if Debbie were to do like a 20x from here, bringing it to $15, for me, I'd sell a decent chunk because that's, to me, that's a nice gain, especially for what we got it at. I don't have near as much
if Omi stayed around these prices, I'd sell like 20%. But keep in mind, I own a lot of Debbie. So for me, 20% would buy so much Omi at this price. If it did those numbers right, I would have billions more in Omi, right? I don't have a billion Omi yet, but that would give me billions of Omi.
I'd love to see you pump those trials. I would love to see you. You might be able to cross that 9-figure mark if you probably will. I don't want to put your business out there. Anyway, Mass Murder. Speaking of business, he has a very unique name. And do you know that contest they do like every week, like where they have people and they show their vaults and be like, hey, this is a great vault. Vote for whoever you think did the best, and then they send out a collectible. Have you seen those? Mm-hmm. Okay, so every week they have that on Twitter. They have like 9 participants that has like the greatest screenshot, the greatest stuff on the feed. Nice. And Mass Murders like got like an email saying like, hey, the stuff that you post on the feed is awesome, but we can't like we can't have that name up on there. So like if you change your name, we could put you up on these contests, but we can't have people voting for Mass Murders. So be advised, guys. Like VeVe, love this company, have so much money in it. But there are certain things that you're just never going to be able to do. I remember 2 years ago, there was a thing called Dragon Con, and I was at a party. There was this lady there that was dressed up like Ursula from Little Mermaid. And I look at this like collectible. Can I like take a photo with you in this collectible? It'll look really cool. And she said, yeah, and it did. And I posted it on the feed. I don't remember the exact words, but for the most part, too much boob was the reason why it got taken down from the feed. So VeVe is not. If they deem something's inappropriate, they will 100% take it down, or even not even include you. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Base, I mean Coinbase. Well, stuff on Base, on the Base network is in general pumping. Yeah. So at some other news we have here. What's up, guys? Been adding more Omi lately. Sleeping Giant, agreed, 100%. There are people getting to levels. Claire just got level 98. I think Bill Gardner's like level 70 something. What level are you at?
Have to check. I know I've weighed. Gosh, they made the. See, I've been stacking Omi and not massive collectibles, and I have a really good amount of VeVe collectibles. But like Omi is massively underpriced, and so I'm not telling you guys something different than what I do. And so I'm not going to probably be in the first 100 to 100, though. With the things that they've been adding, it's so tempting to like throw, $400,000 into the VeVe app and just like go crazy so that I can be one of the first 100 to 100 collectibles. It probably won't happen unless like Davy goes absolutely crazy and I buy a bunch more Omi, and then I'd make a decision like that. What am I at? I am at level 71.
Nice.
So
had a good one.
Still quite a ways away from 100.
I am a bit away from it, like 68. What's up, Sean? Yeah, if you want to swap, if you're listening to us and you still want to swap your Omi, maybe we're not doing our jobs, but you can go to Coinbase Wallet and you can swap it there for Ethereum. That's in the US. You can just do it on Uniswap. You don't have to do it over Coinbase Wallet, depending on where you want to. Or if you have a lot, let me know. I might buy it. We'll see. Making comic books great again. They have announced a new comic book called, I think, Hudson. Is it Hudson or? But a new comic book is coming to VeVe, and that is the. Where did it go? I, for whatever reason, cannot find it. is there any comic book type of what do you call it, licensors that you would want to see on here that are not currently on here?
Yeah, DC.
Oh yeah, they're
I would, and I love like the Bad Cow Group, and it's moved over to Candy Digital. I would love it if DC did move their stuff over, and I own a bunch of stuff on Candy Digital. Doesn't mean the stuff I bought on Candy Digital wouldn't be worth a ton in the future. I think it still would be, even if they went ahead and said like, okay, let's go over to VeVe. But it'd be cool if VeVe became the main crypto hub, or not crypto, the main hub for comic collecting. And that would like cement that, right? Because Marvel was freaking a huge deal. Even with just Marvel and some of the other ones they're getting, like that cemented them in history for comics, digital comics. If they got DC, it would be like, that'd be amazing. So yeah, other than that, like the truth is VeVe got me into comics. Like I didn't ever collect comics. I did kind of watch them. It just was overwhelming to me. I didn't know that much about it. There's so many different ones. And like, obviously I miss getting like the grails, and it just would have taken so much research, and the actual appreciation wasn't really there. It's like, yeah, stuff you could have got in 1930 is now worth a ton of money, like 100 years later, if you kept it in mint condition. So that time frame doesn't work for me. Now, you could have got it cheap enough 10 years ago that 10 years ago to now still would have done good. But like crypto does this 4-year cycle where it goes crazy. So these digital comics, I think, are going to vastly outperform how long it took for some of these things to really realize amazing value in a much shorter amount of time. And that's why I love the crypto cycle. It's so short, 4 years. And literally 2 years from the bottom to where the top is. So like if you're buying every 4 years, but a lot of times you're just holding it for 2 years. Say you're buying 2 years ago and prices were at the bottom, and you're holding until, or like a year and a half ago, and you're holding for 6 months or possibly another 12 months into 2025, and then you're taking profits. You only had to hold for 2 years. That's pretty amazing, because like some of the original comics, like, yeah, you could have collected them in 1930. You wouldn't even be alive today. Your grandkids became rich because of your comic book collecting, but you were long gone. That's not a time frame that works for me.
These ones that we have are, I would likely say, especially the ones that are cheap, like they have almost a burn. Not the mechanism is not live yet, but on some of the Marvel comics has a little thing of fire where it looks like you'll be able to burn them. I mean, I don't see any other reason to have that fire emblem on there. But if you do that, yes, you have MC1s that have 60,000 mints. You have some that have 30,000, some 10. But you have a couple of these comics on here that have like 3,000 mints. And if you can go in and incentivize in some way people to burn some of them, because maybe people in crypto, people don't look at market cap. So maybe some people, they only look at price of the comic and they don't really look at how much there are. But there are a couple of comics that have like a couple thousand mints, and they might only be a couple dollars. But like, okay, I'll burn this. You might be able to see certain comics in just in the hundreds, and that could be key comics. So that could be really fun. Energy, what's going on? They had a new airdrop for fiches today. You can get some free VeVe digital collectibles if you go on to fiches.com. You follow a couple steps. Have you done that yet? I haven't done that either. I gotta find it. It's like a 4-minute video to go on. You go in and it's free. There's no money spent. I think there's like 30 something accounts that have hit level 100 so far. But that's I think they'll go up to 100 level 100s, and then they'll stop that. Chad from NFT Pirates had a question the other day saying like, hey, what are your top 10 grails? And then he posted those. For you, we don't have to do top 10, but let's do top like 5. And I'll see if it matches up.
Comic grails or collectible grails?
Both of them are on there. Okay. So you could do whichever one you want.
Well, Don McFarlane Batman will always hold a special place. That's what got me into VeVe, right? When I invested in the pre-sale in 2018 through a friend who participated directly, and then he sold some of it to me, essentially. And so I was able to buy some at the pre-sale price. But I didn't really follow him closely in the bear market because I was mostly looking on YouTube for my information. I wasn't really a Twitter person at all. And nobody was covering on YouTube. And I only heard about it again in 2021. Somebody was asking me to cover the Omi price. So then I was like, Omi, I know that I have some of that. And they were going to do this digital collectible thing. So I started researching and found that they had an app, got on the app, and I was like, this is the first Batman on the blockchain. This is a really big deal. I tried to search for videos on VeVe. I found nothing. I put VeVe in there. I tried all these different ways to find something on YouTube. No videos. So then I covered it, and I was like, this first Batman on the blockchain is going to be a real big deal. And you can still buy this Todd McFarlane. I think it's going to do incredible. And, it has done incredible. But like the first Batman on the blockchain, in fact, one of the first major brands like that on the blockchain, I think is a really big deal. So I think that holds a special place in the Edward Rizzo. Like the Rizzo is another grail in my opinion. Then like the partner statue, I don't know that Disney's ever going to add utility to it. So it would be if they added some utility to it. I would say more probably the VeVe gold and silver logo. I think on the comic book side, some of the first, like the Iron Man first, the Thor first, especially because they become so popular because of the Marvel Universe movies. I think those comics do incredible. I would say the Amazing Spider-Man #1, if there weren't like 50 million issues of it. What is the actual first appearance of Spider-Man? Isn't that in
Amazing Fantasy 15?
Yeah, Amazing Fantasy 15. So that's another grail right there. Like obviously like the secret rare of that. And then I think I have 2 secret rare Spider-Mans, one on my wife's account, one on mine. But I think, those are grails, in equally as much of a grail as the Miles Morales. I think Miles Morales is a newer thing, but there's far fewer mints of it, which is what makes it extra special. I don't have one of those, and I'm not going to pay even these prices, even though I think it'll do really well. The challenge with me trying to buy Miles Morales is like, if I'm buying it, am I ever really going to be able to sell it? Not unless I bought 2, because I don't know if I bought one, if I could ever then sell it. So I don't want to take investment money out of the investment things to buy it until next bear market. That'll be another bear market. And that might be the time I get one that I don't care about never selling.
My VeVe wallet next bear market is going to go insane.
Yeah, right.
I told people that if I have, if something comes up or I, choose to sell a bunch of my stuff, I'll still keep my Mighties and I'll still keep my Alligator Lokis, but everything else might just be canon file. Like if we get Pokemon, oh God, if we get Pokemon, I would sell a bunch of those. But in the next bear market, and everything goes down, if we get Pokemon, whatever we get, and it goes down like 80%, 90%, and suddenly we have all this crypto money, we have that actual FU money, I'll buy everything. I'll be in the top 100. I don't care. Those grails, as by Chad, were partner statue got the most votes. Spider-Man secret rare, the Peter Parker Spider-Man secret rare got the second most. Then Todd. Then Miles Morales. He actually beat out Marvel Comics #1 and Amazing Fantasy #15. Then Superman first appearance. Superman first appearance. I agree, it's really big, but that bear market has punished that like so badly.
Yeah, which means it's underpriced, right? And I kind of missed the boat. Like my cousin is like, Superman #1 is going to do incredible. And at the time, you could buy them for like $100 on the thing. I was like, you're right. And I thought that I had got in and bought another 10 of them. And I'm like, oh yeah, I bought another 10. I never went in and actually did that. So then we went to like $5,000. And I was thinking I had like 12 of them, right? I go in, I was like, oh, crap, I never did buy the other 10 of them. I'm like, dang it. Oh, well. So, yes. And, I just didn't realize it was going to, I'm like, it's the first appearance of Superman. Superman was just so indestructible to me. It almost was like the unreal thing of like, how is it fair? The truth is Superman would destroy everybody. So like Batman, at least to me, was like human and like, flawed, and he's taking like real risks. Superman, they did introduce kryptonite, but what risks is he really taking, right? He's bulletproof. He's can fly. He's got laser beam eyes. He's got infinite strength. What risks is he taking? So I didn't really catch it with Superman until my cousin explained it to me. I was like, oh yeah, you're absolutely right. Superman's gonna do freaking amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Earth One comics that came out like 10 years ago. They kind of did like a reboot, and they just made him. I mean, he's always been human. I feel like that's why people like him. That awesome character. But that one just made me fall in love again. I was like, oh, they're so good. If we ever get DC Comics, the Earth One with Superman and his cat is really cool. I really love that. I would get a bunch of those. Moving past that, after Superman first appearance, it's Vader, Ultra Rare, the OG, VeVe and Gold Silver Loco, and then Fantastic Four #1. I feel like there should be some honorable mentions like the R2D2, Steamboat Willie, Elsa, Eddie Rizzo, Batman. People have been talking about
personal, like I hope Elsa does incredible. That's the only really good mint number I've ever gotten off the drop. I got mint number 42 Elsa.
Oh shoot.
I know, right? I was like, yeah, made up for, like, I got the little green truck saying I got the partner statue. And
you didn't get the partner statue.
I didn't get a partner statue. It was all there. Like, a bunch of people came over to my office at the time because we had fiber, and like everyone got it but me. I got the green truck, but I didn't actually get it. And I'm like,
damn.
So.
That is rough. That is harsh.
Yeah.
Live Riders asking, will Debbie dip again? Still a good price. I mean, it could retrace, sure. You know, there's no way of knowing.
Yeah, right now it's 72 cents. It hit 83, right? So
yeah, so down 10% from the local high. So
yeah, it's hard to tell in the short term. I did call that it was going to go up to 82 cents. I put it in for those gold members in my chat. They have access to something called trading alerts where I draw some charts out. It's about the only place I really do TA anymore is for those gold members. And I said, looks like Debbie's going to, I think bigger to $1.60, but short term it's going to go to 85 cents. So it just went under that to 83, and it might have hit 85 in the chart I'm looking at. Might not show it.
Yeah. We was I there for that, but I couldn't talk because me and Reagan couldn't figure out
that was 12.7 when I drew that chart out for him. Debbie,
oh yeah,
85 cents. I showed him the chart and why.
Casual said it was nice hearing you both sing karaoke live. Got the footage. Oh god, I don't know if I want that footage out. it was good times. What's up, Mo Collections? So moving on past that, these teases that Ben Rose has been doing. Okay, the teeth, cool. Saber tooth, that makes sense, kind of. But we still have the cat, the banana, the duck, and now these trees. It could be Harry Potter. It could be Lord of the Rings. It could be.
Wait, you had it a little bit too close. I couldn't see what the image was.
It's just forests. It's just trees.
Is that poison ivy though?
No, it looks like it's just moss, but I guess that could be interpreted that way. Like, oh, but
I don't know. Yeah, interesting. Moss could be Lord of the Rings. I don't know.
Well, moss could be. So the ones that I put were Slender Man. I don't know if you ever played that game or your kids ever played that game called Slender. You have to connect these like sticky notes in the woods, and then Slender Man comes in and gets you. It's really scary. It's really good though. It was really big like 10 years ago. SpongeBob once said the line, one of the most popular episodes. It's like, look at that. Moss always points to civilization. So it could be a SpongeBob reference, Fangorn Forest or Lothlorien Woods from Lord of the Rings, or it could be Viridian Forest for Pokemon. I feel like, or it could be the East District 469 where Goku and Gohan live at Chi-Chi. It could be so many different things, or it could be has something that has nothing to do with this. I don't know. It's anyone's guess. The really VeVe doesn't have a leaderboard. I mean, we do. We have our top 500, but that is unofficial though.
Yeah, and probably I wouldn't be surprised in the future to see something like that integrated into the app.
Yeah.
It's all about priorities, right? So it's like, is that something they could add? Yes. Has that been the highest priority? No. Like other things happen. And yeah, I think, essentially now they have that through Stacker. So in Stacker, you can see who's on top. So it's kind of there, right? VeVe doesn't need to have it, and they especially don't need to prioritize it now that it's really there and stackers handled it. But I wouldn't be surprised if over time, as they take out the more important priorities, if they get around to that.
Gotcha. Shout out to Jason Pena, 1 for being a member, 2 for reaching level 69. That is nice. Someone just sent something to me. This is from November, but it was reported by Andrew Forte saying very positive week for NFT market. 3 crypto punks had sold for $500,000, $1 million, and $1.4 million. Apparently, these crypto punks were pretty awesome. They were unique, so they got that. And again, that was a month ago, or a couple weeks ago, I should say. So gotta love that. I don't know when we get first appearance. Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne, Lex. I don't know. That'd be fun though, because those are.
Yeah, DC hasn't done a lot recently, right? When was the last time they even did a drop?
It's been a while.
The Batman crocodile statue. Have they done something since that?
Yeah, they had a. I remember a Joker statue last year. It was the Frank Miller Joker. This guy.
Yeah.
And in the store, I think that might have been either last year. It might have been 2022. Also, I'll see.
It's okay. DC doesn't like money.
It was April of last year of 23. I'm sure there's been something since then, and I just haven't noticed. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they have so many different, hands in different pots. I feel like they're very, I don't know, like the left might not know what the right is doing. They have other things to focus on. Their DCEU is done. They're done. They have nothing left of it. Like James Gunn is rebooting it, and by the way, the Superman trailer is going to happen soon. It'll be released on social media. But yeah, I mean, to try to do what Marvel did is impossible to do. So yeah, they're focused on other stuff. Which, again, if anyone in the company is kind of seeing what Marvel's doing though with VeVe, yeah, why not?
Yeah, smart. Because they don't have to do most of the work, and yet they get royalties forever on these things. Imagine if a toy company came to you and said, "Hey, we'll produce the toys for your IP, and every time when it sells initially, you make this much money, and every time it sells after that and change hands, you make this amount of money on every resale, and we'll handle the marketplace and all that for you." It's like, are you for real? Like, this sounds too good to be true. Like, okay, yes.
Speaking of which, Epico is doing this. I don't know if I'd want mine done by Epico, but Epico is doing it where you saw David, Dan, and Eagle Eyes all be dropped, and normal and then blue metallic version. And David is going for like 2K. That's pretty awesome. Maybe new grail in the future. If you were to ever get one done, and again, you obviously don't have to do that through Epico. You can do it just through VeVe. How would you want your? Do you want 2 versions of you? Do you want like one with you in the glasses and you without? The glasses will be that special chase. What do you want the numbers to be though? A couple hundred? Do you opt to take less money up front, or even no money up front, but you get that 2.5 or 4% like royalty fee? Or would it be like, well, I can do more with the money if I get that up front with crypto, and that other money just trickles down? What do you go for?
No money up front, royalty fee. Absolutely. And yeah, multiple versions. I would love a way for like, look, I like the saying, make it rain, but I don't believe you have to make it rain yourself. Like God makes it rain. Like farmers in the days, right? They waited till the rain came in, and it was somewhat predictable. It was especially predictable when they built irrigation so they could trap the rain in things called lakes and reservoirs so they could consistently feed their crops. Well, like in crypto, like it rains every 4 years, and so like you're just playing the cycles, and I love that. I just love the idea of rain, and that it produces like life and gives life, and money gives life. The number one killer of people in the world is poverty. And so wealth is the number one way to not die early and of causes that you don't have the money to prevent, right? So I like rain. So if there was some way to integrate rain, I don't know, in an augmented reality. I hear the missus back there.
I'm so sorry.
Missus, you got to come say hi. That's the penalty when she's distracting me on the videos, so you can see why she's so distracting.
Oh,
She is so
I
distracting.
can be distracting.
Yes.
Can't wait to see you. See y'all soon. She's great. She's awesome. She's fun.
Yeah,
There
so
is-
I love rain. So maybe one version that has a lot of mints out there, and then a super rare version or whatever that has like it's much. Maybe there's only 500 or something. That'd be fun.
Speaking of numbers, go in and policy says Pudgy Penguins hit a floor of 100,000, which is nuts. And most people in Web3, I would say, know, at least heard of Pudgy Penguins, if not kind of know what they are. They're like, okay, they have this deal with like Walmart. They're out there. They're blending Web2 and Web3, which is great. So maybe even some people that, people like penguins, maybe they just get that not knowing what it is, and you could have a kid have a Pudgy Penguin shirt or Pudgy Penguin plushie, and again, not know what the NFT is. And that's great. But to say that, okay, there's Pudgy Penguins floor of 100,000, I'm not saying it's not worth it. It might be worth it to someone, something that's really unique. It has something to them, but there's such a small amount of people that know about that compared to who knows Superman and Spider-Man, and just these characters have been around for decades. Where do you think some of these go? I mean, I know interoperability is a thing with Web3, but a lot of money's in Web2.
So a lot of it comes down to predictability. Like the reason I'm attracted to VeVe is the predictability of massive proven brands like Superman, right? So it's like some NFT projects have gone astronomical. But in the grand scheme of things, out of 20,000 NFT projects, like 7 have gone astronomical. And everyone talks about those 7. But if you were just playing the odds and you spread your money out across like 5,000 that stood better chances, that means out of 5,000 that stood better chances, maybe you were lucky and hit all 7 of those that went really well. Because it's hard to tell at the inception. There's lots of projects that have really good, like, oh yeah, this is going to go up, and they just fizzle and absolutely die. And so the predictability on them is just too low for me to worry about. Even when DrOfStuffs was like tons of research, and he's like, I think this Bored Ape Yacht Club one is going to go really, really. I'm like, I can't say that you're wrong, but the predictability on there is just really low. Like, I'm not going to get into these NFT projects that they're this, because there's 7,000 launching. This was March of 2021, and I'm gonna go for something like a Todd McFarlane, like the first Batman on the blockchain, because I just feel like the predictability is fairly high. It's a brand that everyone recognizes. Batman is really, really cool. It's the first Batman on the blockchain. And so one of the reasons I like VeVe is predictability is high. That doesn't mean you can't hit a home run on some of these other random ones that like absolutely hit their roadmap and do really, really well. And it's really important in the NFT space that you end up getting a whole bunch of influencers on board talking about it. The strength of the team doesn't matter near as much as the strength of the influencers, because you're really just using hype and pumpamentals rather than structural fundamentals. Well, VeVe's got structural fundamentals, which I have an easier time measuring, of massive brands, a team that I believe in, an app that I really, really like that has augmented reality for these cool collectibles. I think it's got a pretty predictable future. Like, what's hard to predict is how much it will go up, but I don't see why these collectibles don't become worth massive amounts in the future, especially when you can attract such talented people such as Sanjay, Dr. Profit, a lot of other people that are covering them on VeVe and also on Twitter, and holding tons of Twitter space without getting paid. And they put so much time into this, and they do an amazing job. And to talk about it for free, like, that's special. Do you know how many projects would love to have that, and yet they can't create that? And yet VeVe has that. So I think VeVe's going to do really well, especially as they put into rewarding those creators for covering it. Even better. They'll get even more people coming in.
Can't wait for that. I'm so super pumped. One of the things that there's a there's a whole song in Toy Story where Andy gets Buzz, and then Woody's used to being like top dog, and they're used to everything being westerns. Now suddenly Buzz the spaceman comes in, and that song "Strange Things Are Happening to Me" starts playing. I feel like we have a pretty awesome crew. So Jason Pena's in that nice lady you got. We have a pretty awesome crew as far as whenever we go out, we meet up at VeVe events, we all kind of hang out together. Do you think that there's a chance that as this gets really big, not that they were like forced out, but there's like, hey, there's still our crew, there's still our good peeps, but now there's so many people that we don't know, and then it gets to more of the fact that instead of it's like, hey, great to see you and it's awesome, people come up to us and it's just like, hey, where do you think this is going? What should I buy? And then it becomes less about seeing friends and more about, okay, we have to go interact with the people that maybe they like us, sure, but they don't have that relationship with us, and it becomes almost like a chore to go to these things.
It'll be overwhelming, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I can remember like 3 to 4 new names. And so when you meet 20 to 30 people, it's not like they're not important to you. They are. I just can't remember their names very easily, and I get overwhelmed. So because I'm an introvert that has social skills, I love being social. I'm an introvert. My wife, we once went to a networking thing together, and she met like 30 business owners. She remembered all of their names, what their business was, and something about it. And she's like, who do you remember? I was like, after the first 10 names, I couldn't even remember the first 3. So like nobody, so it will be overwhelming. And it's just like, it's nice that sometimes I get to know a lot of people in this type of environment before that. So then I already know them. I'm not learning a new name. It's somebody I already know, which is great, but it'll get overwhelming because the bull market will bring in massive numbers of new people. Then we'll have a bear market, and 80 to 95% of those people will fall away. We'll have this bear market, and then that core crowd will be a lot easier to get to know, like the real committed ones. And I'll be more interested. Those are the people that I love. Those are my people, because I love like buying low. I love sticking around when it's hard. I love it when people argue with me and the general sentiment is VeVe is dead, Omi is dead. I love that time, and I love the people that stick around during that time. Those are my people. Those are the people that are willing to counter trade. They're willing to go against what most people are saying. They're willing to believe when everyone else has lost belief, and those are my people. I love those people.
Agreed. I follow the Pokemon chat like everywhere Pokemon on social media, just because one, I love them, and two, maybe the off chance that they partner with VeVe. Their most recent announcement was partnering with Aardman. And there were obviously people that was like, okay, what is this? It's like a claymation studio. They might do something claymation in the future. It's neither really here nor there. But when some of the people that I saw commenting on this, like, well, I guess no partnership with VeVe then. And it's almost like, it's very crazy where it's like somebody saying like, oh, you bought a couch. I guess you're not buying a beanbag chair then. I guess you're not buying a table. It's like, well, you can't buy both. Like, just because they're partnering with one company doesn't mean that they can't partner with others. Is there any evidence that they're partnering with us right now? No, but I know it's a weak argument. There's no evidence that there's not. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're not going to do something with VeVe in the future, right? So, like, DC did some stuff with VeVe, and then they also did the Bat Cows, and then that moved over to Candy Digital, and they also did the thing with Hero. So like, that doesn't mean anything.
They're everywhere. You have the Call Me Filthy saying, what do you think?
I don't understand what he's saying.
Buy another Omi bag now. We're going to drop lower. I'll say, like, I have no idea what happens in the short term, but I'll buy here if I get more money. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I end up deciding where my buy zone is, and my buy zone was anything under 0.001, right? So, like, yeah, 1/10 of a penny. An amazing green buy zone, in my opinion, and we're half of that price right now, or we were. I don't know exactly. Let me check where we are. We're close to half of that, And so it's still way in the green buy zone. But, you know, I have a good amount of OMI. I would love to 4X it or more. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm waiting for some other things. I'm hoping everything doesn't take off at the same time. Some other things really leapfrog ahead, and I can take profits and buy more OMI. Yeah. So at a certain point, I think OMI absolutely blasts off. And at that point, it will not be buy time. It will be wait till it hits my sell zones.
Altcoin Daily had a video yesterday talking about one of Donald Trump's sons. I forget which one. That like, oh, Bitcoin go to like $1 million. I don't think they gave a timeline about that. But Altcoin Daily posted today that Donald Trump actually owns more Ethereum than Bitcoin. Does any of that matter to you? Do you think it's Donald Trump that's actually
he owns
going?
all the ETH because he sold his NFTs for ETH, right? So they were priced in ETH. That's why he owns a whole bunch of ETH.
Yeah.
I don't know that he bought ETH. I think he got ETH from the sale of those. Which I haven't even looked at the price of what those are doing. They probably, since he won the election, gone up a ton. Yeah. I know I've been playing off the grid, and those Donald Trump skins are freaking hilarious. Because then in an accent that sounds like Donald Trump, like you get the voiceovers, right? Oh my gosh, this game is so funny. So
that's love to play that.
Yeah, and there's also a Kamala one because this was like November before the election. You know, so they made a Kamala one and a Donald Trump one, and the Kamala one's going for like this, and the Donald Trump one's going for this, and the bull market hasn't even hit yet. So,
in this game, can you? The kids like no longer know what teabagging is. Can you teabag in this game?
Yes, you can. But and those ones go for a ton. So there's some emotes. That there's two emotes. One is really naughty. I like these guys. They are not politically correct. The Donald Trump skin and what he says is not politically correct. And I love that they have the bravery to do that. So one of the emotes is very naughty. And it goes for a ton right now.
Please tell me he says like
it's obtainable. My friend got one by playing the game. Which is another thing I like what they did with it is that you get these things by playing the game. And, or also if you pay the $11 a month for like pro, off the grid pro, then if you hit certain levels within the timeline, you can unlock other ones. But essentially through playing the game, you get it. It wasn't like galas. Like if you buy this for $12,000, you get the ultra rare one and it's going to earn you more, whatever. It was kind of total pay to play. I don't like that. Off the grid is like play to get all the cool stuff. I like that. I think they're going to be a home run.
I hopefully they come out with one where after he kills you, automatically it just goes deported or something like that.
Yeah, fired. You're fired.
I would pay so much money for that.
The funniest Donald Trump stuff in it. You're like, oh my gosh, did you just say that? And the little emote that came with it. So if you still get off the grid right now, you get the Donald Trump and Kamala still if you get the pro. One before the end of this next month or something in the next 30 days. And so you get still the Donald Trump skin and all the things that he says. And the emote is he builds a wall. It's so funny. And he puts his elbow on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is funny.
So there's a other NFTs and other stuff. You have Adidas that launched their own PFP project. There's 20,000 in the collection, around $300 floor right there. Do you think that, because when we went to NFT NYC in 2022, there were so many people that were asking us to like, hey, give like $1,000 to make videos on their PFP projects, and even then we knew not to do it because they were never going to go anywhere. And now that the space has evolved, where it can't just be PFPs, that either have utility, like metaverse, a game, or if you're like VeVe 3D, you can do it in AR. What do you make of Adidas doing this? Do you think that they might add, are they just late to the game and they just don't know what they're doing? Or they might have a plan and they might add utility, they might give discounts? What are your thoughts on it?
I missed part of that. I was reading Big A's comment. I got the bagged in tag emote for 15 and sold it for 3K 2 hours later.
Impressive.
Yeah. I think that's one of the really good ones. I can't remember. I got one that's going for 4K guns tokens on the game. Now these are beta guns tokens. They're going to reset the tokens. But if I were to sell it, I would then turn around and buy a bunch of things. The NFTs I think will do good in value. It's Sorry, got distracted by that. What was the question?
You have Adidas that has launched their own PFP project, and based on what we had learned years ago, that if you just have a PFP project, doesn't mean that it'll make it. Most of them, all of them didn't. Do you think they're just behind the curve and they're just new, or do they might have a plan for utility? What do you make of it?
They're trying to jump in the space. Unless they come in with like precise execution, why isn't Adidas anything going to be worth money? So unless it's in like an environment where it's like it ends up being the metaverse and they're like a limited amount of Adidas shoes that were so cool, or Adidas pants, or Adidas clothing were so cool, maybe they're gold and there's 500 of them, and like it becomes a total flex item, then why would that NFT be worth anything? So if Adidas went to off the grid and said, hey, we want to do something with you, that'd be smart. I think off the grid probably be a game that goes forward, and they could do like special Adidas drop, and that might be worth something. But just as an NFT, like it's like, so what else? You're late to the game. Why is an NFT of Adidas going to be worth shit? Unless it's in some context that then makes sense. Yeah. Oh, like a Bored Ape that has Adidas. Had they gone to Bored Ape way back and a few of them had Adidas clothing on it, that would be worth a lot. But, that didn't happen. You missed that window.
So I have a meeting at 10, so we can go for a little bit longer, but I do have to bounce soon. Is there anything else you wanted to go over right now before we ended it?
Well, just like, is Omi still cheap? Yes. When will Omi take off? People always ask me. It's like 2025, 2020, end of 2024. I don't know. I do know that every 4 years, crypto goes crazy. And when it does, usually cycles through all the different narratives in the crypto market. So there's AI, there's now decentralized physical infrastructure, or DePIN. There's decentralized finance, or DeFi. There's NFTs. Separate from that, I think, is digital collectibles. They kind of go, there's some overlap there, kind of go hand in hand. I think blockchain gaming. Then there's like financial infrastructure like XRP. It's kind of like DeFi, but more centralized. Like the banks are going to run on things like XRP. I think that's why the ISO 220 coins are finally running, because Trump is going to move that forward, I think, by a lot. And so the pathway for them is a lot more clear, and that's why they've been running. I think he helps adoption of that kind of stuff come in the U.S., which is the place with the economy with all the money, really. Move forward, and that's why those ones are running. So I think it'll cycle through the different narratives, and I don't know when digital collectibles and the token associated with them goes crazy. I do know that, look, Omi is doing pretty well. The major player, the major coin in the ecosystem, there's two that are bigger than Omi right now. Now, Omi at some point might pass them up. I think it's got the potential, but Flow and Chili's token are bigger. And Flow is a token by Dapper Labs associated with NFL All Day, UFC Strike, NBA Top Shots, and a few other things like the Disney collectible pins and stuff. That's the token associated with it. And Flow, bottomed out at like 40-something cents. It's up to $1.10.
It went up to like $1.28. It went down to like 80-something cents, but it's back up to like $1 now. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so I think that Flow started to take off. Omi, it's 2x up from the bottom, but that bottom was so absurdly low that it's just still ridiculously low price. And I think there's plenty of money to be made on Flow even at this price. I think at some point Omi catches traction, but I don't know when that is. I don't have the magic crystal ball that tells me what the future looks like. If I did, I'd already be a multi-billionaire. And I would be, tuning in from my satellite, relaying to my yacht, and on this channel, right? Well, that hasn't happened yet. So I have to, just like everyone else, make my best guesses. And I know every 4 years crypto goes crazy, and that there's tons of substance underlying VeVe. And at some point, the token associated with it will more than likely go absolutely nuts, and too nuts, which is why I'll be selling them. And people will be like, wait, I thought you were a believer in forever. And it's like, I'm a believer in buying low and selling high. And when the price gets really high, I'll be selling. And it's not like I don't believe in VeVe's future, but that pendulum swings too far to each side. It's gotten too cheap. At a certain point, it'll be too expensive.
I was going over this yesterday and saying, like, I think we can get, again, obviously just my opinion, that 5 to 7 cents, give or take. But dude, if you had anime, you had like Attack on Titan, if you had like, I don't know why Yuri on Ice is so popular, but that is, if you add at Pokemon, if you add Nintendo, you don't even need Pokemon because Nintendo only has 1/3 stake in Pokemon. You just add Nintendo and get those characters. It'd be incredible. If we have no announcements of any type of Nintendo, Pokemon, or even any anime, I'd likely start selling a decent amount at a penny and then get progressively more aggressive with my selling for each penny until I reach about 5, in which case I'd probably have a good more than half sold. But if we somehow announce Nintendo or Pokemon or anything like that before then, I will not sell anything. Even at a penny, I probably wouldn't have sold anything. Even at like 2 or 3 cents, I probably wouldn't have sold, because at that point, 10 cents I feel like is possibly what it should go to at that $30 billion market cap. And then it shouldn't go to 15 or 20 cents or 30 cents, but you know, it could. I would probably sell most of my stuff by 10 cents and I would leave a moon bag.
Remember that this pendulum swings too far each way. It shouldn't have gone as high as it did last bull market, but it still did. It went to 1.4 cents. It should not have gone there, and it did. How far will it go? I think you're right. Like 5 cents is a reasonable price, but I think it gets unreasonable. I think it goes higher than reasonable. How high? I don't know, but at 5 cents, that's a reasonable price. A little bit crazy, but I think it goes way crazy. And so if you're not taking profits above 5 cents, I think you're crazy. How high will it go above there? I don't know. But like, yeah, I'm not going to be selling until it's like, I guess if Omi went absolutely crazy now and it went to a penny while other things were cheap, yeah, I'd take some profits at a penny. But my real estate profit zones are in several pennies and higher, unless there's something else. Because one of the ways I made such high gains last time is some of the things that took off, they went way up, and I rolled some of those gains in things that hadn't pumped yet, and then they went up. Because if you make a 50x on something and you roll it into something that then does a 10x, you made 500x. Because somebody asked me, they said, how many 100x gainers did you have last cycle? And I was like, well, like 3. And they're like, oh, well, that's not very many. It's like, what did your portfolio do? And I was like, 100x. And they're like, well, how did that happen? And I was like, how did that happen? Oh, it's because, you know, I made like 50x on this, and then I rolled into something that went 5x, because 2/3 of my portfolio got eviscerated because I was in riskier things like memes and everything. I hadn't learned that lesson yet. I share that lesson now because I learned that last time. I don't make that mistake this time. But only 1/3 of my portfolio really went crazy. 2/3 of it died because I just was new enough. I was just following whatever YouTube channels that, like, assuming they knew what they were talking about and trying to do some research on itself, but it was the blind leading the blind. I didn't know what patterns to look for. But last bull market, the 1/3 of my portfolio that really, really Boston did well was companies that were 1 to 5 years old. They had a solid team that had a good narrative. And that's what I focused all my portfolio on the last 2 years, is those, because that's part of my portfolio that absolutely crushed it and saved me, right? Because 2/3 went to 0 and 1/3 did essentially a 300x to give me an overall return of 100x from the bottom.
Just incredible. Obviously now we're in similar boats where we have, yours is obviously much bigger boats than I do, but at least we are on similar ships where we're in a lot of the same stuff. We agree on.
We have lots of money at risk. People are like, what happens if crypto goes to 0? It's like, well, McDonald's is always hiring.
We can survive.
Will they wreck your boat? Or what? How diversified are you? I'm like, diversified? Across the crypto market, I'm incredibly diversified. Outside, but it's all in crypto, like all of it. So it's like if crypto goes to zero, well, darn, I will be getting a job again.
Same fam. And put it back in crypto.
I don't think it's going to happen. Every 4 years, crypto's gone crazy since 2013. I'd say odds are really, really good. They don't get any better than this in investing. But there's no guarantees. Even a 97% chance on something, still 3% chance it goes bad for you. So it's like there are no guarantees. We'll see what happens this next year. The odds are really good in my opinion. That's why I've taken such a high bet. Because if you went to something that you felt like the odds were 90%, would you put $100 on it, or would you put everything on it? Well, I'm in the, I'd put everything on it. 90% chance, everything. On a 50-50 chance, no way. No way would I do that. I probably wouldn't even take that back, because 50% chance you lose everything, unless it was 50% chance you lose it, but if you win, you get like 100x. Oh yeah, well, I'd take that.
That'd be great. Sorry, like roulette. Anyway, we do have some stuff to talk about before I head to my meeting, so let's end it here. Everyone say bye-bye to Becky. We love you. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for coming. Love y'all. Bye.